on this final Sunday of September. Overcast would be a nice way to put it, but you can't tell looking at the fans that it's anything but a sunny outlook for their Bills and head coach Chan Gailey in his third season. This could be a huge step forward for his Buffalo Bills. And John Perry, the regular NFL officials, back in action, and we're glad to see them. Welcome back to Buffalo, everyone. The New England Patriots won the toss. They have deferred, and they will kick it away. Leotis McKelvin, number 21. Brad Smith, number 16, deep for the Buffalo Bills, who will get their hands on the football first. That's Stephen Gostkowski, ready to kick it off, and we are set to get underway here at Ralph Wilson Stadium in Buffalo. And this one will not be returned. Sails out of the end zone for the touchback. The Bills quarterback, Ryan Fitzpatrick, in his 8th season, quietly and steadily, he has become the leader of this Buffalo team. 8 touchdown passes, 3 interceptions over the first 3 games. And the key to his success, Dan, as it has been so far early in this season, he doesn't hit the deck back there.
No, he's only been sacked 1 time. He's gotten tremendous protection by his group up front. And this front 7 of the Patriots, though, vastly improved. Another good matchup today. The line of scrimmage is going to be even more critical than normal in today's game.
Fitzpatrick starts in the shotgun. Fred Jackson, hole on the right side. First down yardage across the 30. It's an offensive line, as we said, does a great job of protecting Ryan Fitzpatrick. The left tackle is a rookie, Cordy Glenn, second-round pick out of Georgia. The backs and the receivers, the Bills get a lift with the return of Fred Jackson. He will lead the ground game along with C.J. Spiller.
Well, I don't know what Fred envisioned for his inaugural run coming back from the injury, but an 11-yard pickup, that's pretty sweet.
From the 31, pass out to the near side. That's complete to T.J. Graham, and Graham out across the 40 appears to be good for another first down. New England's front 4 coaches and veterans all excited about the play of rookie defensive end Chandler Jones, the first rounder out of Syracuse. The linebackers, if there's a play to be made by a linebacker, chances are Gerard Mayo will make it. He tackles everything in sight. And we'll see if the Bills pick on cornerback Devin McCourty, the third-year DB from Rutgers, has struggled lately.
Well, 2 plays, 2 first downs. Not a bad way to start.
Fitzpatrick again. And now shovels it out for Jackson. And that looks like it may even lose yardage. Rob Ninkovich and Gerard Mayo coming over to combine for the tackle. That is C.J. Spiller waiting his turn on the sideline. Sprained left shoulder at Cleveland last week.
When he went down, Greg, I thought he broke his clavicle. He had no chance to protect that left shoulder at all. He was driven into the turf. It looked like a really serious injury. To see him back here the next week, that is a huge surprise for Buffalo, and a pleasant one.
Jackson got back to the line of scrimmage, so it's 2nd and 10. Fitzpatrick on the move, and looking for first down yardage, and appears to have it across midfield.
Well, when you talk to the Patriot defenders, they tell you that Ryan Fitzpatrick can hurt you by getting out of the pocket. Now, you know, he really didn't have to leave the pocket. The blitz was picked up. It's really a nice protection inside, but he decides to get out anyway, and look, oh, he stepped out right there.
Did. So the line of scrimmage is going to be at the 48.
Yep, and the official's right on it. You see the linesman right there. He's got his foot where he stepped out of bounds.
The officials were right on it.
I just thought I'd throw that in.
3rd and 3. Fitzpatrick, complete inside the midfield stripe to about the 46, and that's good for a first down. The tight end, Scott Chandler, on the receiving end.
Well, and that was an accurate throw from Fitzpatrick into a small little window. Look where he had to put that ball. Gerard Mayo, sensational coverage on Scott Chandler. That took a perfect throw and a really, really good catch. Mayo can't hardly have much better coverage than he had on that. That was just an all-star effort by two offensive guys.
From the New England 46, Jackson. To about the 42.
Well, there's not a bunch of Pro Bowlers on this Buffalo offensive line. As Greg documented going through the lineups, they got a rookie at left tackle. But this group is pretty darn good. And Eric Wood is the leader, the center, now in his fourth year. Coming back, he was on IR last year after an injury after 9 games. And I'll tell you what, this is a group that nobody knows their names. Watch out, they're pretty darn good.
Second and 5. Jackson. To about the 38. Speaking of pretty good ball players, Joe DeLamalure stopped by the booth prior to the start of the game.
Yeah, Joe's an old buddy of mine and, of course, an icon here in Buffalo and a Hall of Fame guard. And he loves this town, loves this whole area, and by gosh, they love him back. This is some rabid fan base here in Western New York.
3rd and 2.
Ready.
Give it to Jackson. Jackson can't get away from the man in the backfield, and that's the rookie Chandler Jones.
Bill Belichick throws compliments around like manhole covers, but he's got lots of nice things to say about Chandler Jones. He's long, he's powerful, he plays with leverage, he's an instinctive pass rusher, and I think with the 21st pick in the draft, Belichick knows he found a real keeper in Chandler Jones.
Sean Powell just signed this week to replace the veteran Brian Moorman. This is his first career punt in the National Football League, trying to nail it inside the 10-yard line. Fair catch called for and made by Wes Welker, who will be handling punts today in place of the injured Julian Edelman. Tom Brady and the New England offense from their own 10 when we come back. There's Tom Brady. Hard to believe he's in his 13th year in the NFL, completing 67% of his throws here in 2012. Will throw on first down, and that's complete to Daniel Fells, the tight end, and out of bounds across the 25 to about the 27 or 28-yard line.
And it's the old next man up theory in New England with Aaron Hernandez not able to play with that ankle injury. Daniel Fells gets his first catch of the season. You've got to do it. There's nobody else. It's your turn.
Shane Vereen in the backfield now with Brady. On first down, the pass is complete to the far side of the field, and that's Vereen to the 33-yard line. The offensive line loses veteran left guard Logan Mankins to a hip injury today. Number 64, Donald Thomas, starts for him. The backs and the receivers include the terrific third-year tight end Rob Gronkowski, who grew up in the Buffalo suburb of Williamsville, New York, about 14 miles outside the city. 2nd and 5.
Ryan, read it.
Running out of time, now goes deep and has a man open, and it's caught. Gronkowski with the grab inside the 30-yard line.
Tom Brady, first of all, enjoyed tremendous pass protection. All of his patterns were underneath except for Gronkowski, who's going long. A little stutter, and there he goes. But when Tom can step into it, he might be the best deep ball quarterback in the National Football League. And absolutely perfect.
41-yard pickup. First down, New England.
Yeah.
At the Buffalo 26. Brady to the far side of the field. Spinning inside the 20-yard line is Gronkowski again.
And again, just look at that throw. It was a tremendous catch by the Gronk. But look, when Tom has this kind of protection and he can step into it, his fundamentals are so good. His technique is so spot on. That's why he's so consistently accurate.
50 to Mike.
2nd and 3. This is Ridley to the 15 and a first down.
You know, Greg, it was interesting visiting with Tom Brady yesterday when he was talking about with Josh McDaniels, now back in New England as the offensive coordinator, that they're a different offense. He said, we spent so much of last year with a completely empty backfield, spread the field every time. He said, you know, we're going to run it more this year. We're going to be a little more conventional.
Quick pass. Welker inside the 10 to about the 6.5-yard line. The New England offense has not yet generated an opening drive touchdown this season. You know, I also mentioned, Dan, Tom Brady in his 13th year. He still looks like a kid, which is one of the things we hate about him. 2nd and 1.
We're aging and he's not.
This is Ridley. Touchdown.
Well, all the talk in New England the last couple of weeks has been about their red zone disappointments. They've been settling for Gostkowski field goals instead of touchdowns. Not so on their opening drive here in Buffalo. Great job of blocking out front. Fells and Gronkowski with a good double team. Nate Solder on the left side. Well blocked and keeping his legs churning. Ridley finds the end zone.
7 plays, 90 yards in just over 3 minutes of playing time. Gostkowski's kick is good, and the New England Patriots draw first blood at Ralph Wilson Stadium. 7-0, New England.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Southwest Airlines. Find our fares online only at southwest.com. DirecTV. If you call yourself a sports fan, you gotta get DirecTV. And by Toyota Care, caring for you and your car.
Looked like good defensive position for the Buffalo Bills, but Tom Brady takes the Patriots 90 yards in 7 plays, 5 out of 5 throwing on that drive. The touchdown run by Ridley, and the Patriots are up 7-0, and now we'll see if the Bills can answer. That's Leotis McKelvin deep, along with Brad Smith. This one will get returned. No, it'll roll through and out of the end zone, so it's another touchback. So Ryan Fitzpatrick, can he bring the Buffalo Bills back? The Bills have an answer. We're coming back to Buffalo after this. Hey, nobody knows the game like a quarterback. Don't miss Phil Simms, Rich Gannon, and Steve Berline on NFL Monday QB with special guest Dan Marino. What's he doing on a show with quarterbacks? Tomorrow, 6:30 Eastern, only on CBS Sports Network, the 24-hour home of CBS Sports. C.J. Spiller is in the backfield now for the first time today for Buffalo. There he is, number 28.
And Chan Gailey's plan was to rotate him in there with Fred.
Quick pass out to the far side, and that's complete to T.J. Graham, and Graham is run out of bounds. Let's go back to the pass from Brady to Gronkowski.
Well, as I mentioned before, all the routes are going to be running here, but watch the safety right here, George Wilson. He sees Gronkowski coming right at him, and then he just lets him go. Well, a safety never lets anybody run past him, and for the life of me, I can't figure out what George Wilson was thinking. You got a big guy like Gronkowski coming right at you as a safety. You don't let anything get behind you.
2nd and 2.
Not if you can help it.
Spiller. Ducks one tackle, but it's run out of bounds by Dante Hightower. Our first trip to the NFL today in New York. JB and Shannon Sharp.
Shannon said Matt Schaub is tough and good.
Yes, this is H-angle, JB. See how James Casey angles into the end zone. 11-yard TD reception from Matt Schaub. Houston up 7-0 early over Tennessee.
Houston, one of 3 undefeated squads in the league. Back to Greg and Dan.
All right, guys, not that we're telling you anything, that Houston Texans football team is a good team.
When you made a run into the playoffs last year without Schaub, without Mario Williams, pretty impressive.
3rd and 6. Fitzpatrick throws, got his man across the 35. Stevie Johnson out of bounds. That's good for a first down for Buffalo, and that's a pretty good throw by Ryan Fitzpatrick.
Well, that was a brilliant throw by Fitzpatrick. I mean, again, though, he gets to step into it. He was afforded fantastic protection. Again, it's everything. When a quarterback doesn't have to throw off his heels, look at the pocket that Fitzpatrick has. And when he steps into it, he doesn't have a cannon for an arm, but it's plenty good enough. It's very efficient.
The Buffalo Bills trailing for the first time since week 1 against the New York Jets. Sets up the little pop over the middle to Spiller, and Spiller gets dropped across the 40. We get another update in New York. Once again, JB and Sheriff, guys.
Shannon, good body language by Cam here.
Yeah, there's no sulking going on here, JB. Cam Newton back, looks for Greg Olsen, 17 yards, bangs off the safety Moore into the end zone, 7-0 early, Carolina.
5 plays, 53 yards on that scoring drive. Back to Greg Gumbel, Dan Beardorf.
All right, guys. Ryan Fitzpatrick and the Bills with a 2nd and 7. Both quarterbacks 5 out of 5 throwing the football. Fitzpatrick going upstairs again if he can get it off. But caught from behind across the 40 by Dante Hightower, the rookie out of Alabama.
Well, C.J. Spiller, the running back for Buffalo, he is staying in to block. He does the right thing. He picks up the right guy. He just doesn't block him. He gets thrown out of the way, and Hightower just sheds him like he's not even there and then pursues Fitzpatrick, and that's what a number 1 draft pick is supposed to look like.
And that is only the 2nd sack of a Buffalo quarterback this season.
Now, Hightower looks like he was limping a little bit. He heads over to the New England sideline. He weighs 270 pounds, Greg, for a linebacker.
3rd and 7. Over the middle, tip. Intercepted by Gerard Mayo. And New England will take over in Buffalo territory, and that tip came courtesy of Vince Wilfork.
There's Vince right on the nose, number 75. Again, he knows he can't get there. He's 5 yards away from Fitzpatrick. He doesn't even jump more than an inch or two, but he gets his right hand on it, creates a turnover.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Geico, where 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance. And by Bud Light, the official beer sponsor of the NFL. Here we go.
For the first time, Arnold Schwarzenegger speaks out about his scandal, plus Lara Logan with America's top commander in Afghanistan. The season premiere of 60 Minutes tonight, only CBS.
Well, again, the ball batted by Vince Wilfork right on the line of scrimmage, and a pretty easy play for Gerard Mayo. Surprise, a big play being made by Vince Wilfork.
We had an extensive conversation with him talking about how he can make more plays in a 4-3 defense than in a 3-4.
Yeah, he's made the adjustment pretty well. And I'll tell you, sitting down talking to Vince Wilfork, it's something I always very much look forward to. He is a master conversationalist.
Yes, he is.
And not a bad player either.
Stephen Ridley, play fake. Brady, throw, incomplete.
And that one gets batted. So back-to-back batted passes. One of them ends up an interception.
To see if Marcel Darius got a hand on that. There's Darius right in front of him, and yes, he did.
He did. He got his left hand on it. He was blocked. Again, that's a well-coached defensive line that at that moment when you realize you're not going to get the sack or the hurry, you get up in the air.
This is Ridley on 2nd down, right up the middle, finds a hole inside the 45 to the 41. And Nick Barnett made the tackle for Buffalo.
Man, I like the way Stephen Ridley attacks the line of scrimmage. His instinct is to not bounce outside. If he sees a hole, he sees a little opening, there he goes. And you can see he just ran right through the arm tackle of Barnett.
He shuffles out. Danny Woodhead comes into the backfield on 3rd and 2. Brady throws far side of the field, incomplete. Pass intended over there for Brandon Lloyd, and he was going against the rookie cornerback Stephon Gilmore.
Well, Tom Brady likes this matchup, Brandon Lloyd, when he's got one-on-one. But you talk to the Buffalo coaches, And they'll tell you Stephon Gilmore, they love him in press coverage. He's big, he's physical. When he gets his hands on somebody, he stays with them, and that was a good example.
That's a rare 3-and-out for New England. They have the fewest in the NFL over the first 3 games. Leotis McKelvin deep for the punt. And he will let this one bounce. It won't bounce. Fair caught at the 5-yard line. Nice special teams play by Matthew Slater. Oh, look at that shot. Aerial coverage of today's game is provided by DirecTV.
The leaves just starting to turn, the very beginning of fall foliage up here in
The leaves are dying, Dave.
western New York.
The leaves are dying.
Yeah, there, and it's mighty pretty when they do.
Fred Jackson in the backfield. First down from their own 5-yard line. Play fake. Throwing it out here, and here comes Corey Dickerson, and Dickerson with running room out across the 25, close to the 30-yard line. Steve Gregory making the stop.
Well, everybody getting involved in the Buffalo offense. Dickerson, that's his first reception of the year. Again, a good, effective setup of the screen. There's the center, Eric Wood, out in front making a block. Levitre and Urbic out there as well. Nice. That's really nicely done. Urbic, the right guard, gets over there, and that was just textbook on how to execute the screen.
That's a terrific block by Eric Wood out front.
Sure was.
On first down, here's Fred Jackson, and Jackson with running room.
And that is a good first down play for the Buffalo offense. And we've got, is that Vince? Might have been Kyle Love a little slow to get up. He's back in the huddle, but he thought about staying down for a minute.
Buffalo's offense even up, 8 passes and 8 runs, 2nd and 6. And we are already under 2 minutes to play here in the first quarter. Fred Jackson bouncing off tackler, trying to shake another, and just falls about the 35.5-yard line. Tavon Wilson, rookie defensive back, coming up.
Well, another one of the kids playing defense for the Patriots. Their first 6 draft choices all on the defensive side of the football. Tavon Wilson in the 2nd round. They had 2 number 1s, and Chandler Jones and Dante Hightower both started.
And that's Craig Urbic, who gets up limping and is going to come off the field.
He's the starting right guard.
And he'll be replaced by Chad Reinhardt.
One of the things that with a rookie at left tackle, they were really pleased that they had the continuity from left guard to right tackle with Levitre, Wood, Urbic, and Pierce. And now that has a hole in it at the right guard spot.
3rd and 4. Fitzpatrick under pressure. And did he get rid of it?
Well, and it's because Reinhardt, the right guard, in on his first play, just gets beat badly to the outside shoulder, and Ryan Fitzpatrick didn't have a chance to get set up.
Here comes Chandler Jones again.
Yeah, he just has no shot at it at all. Is his knee down? Yeah, that's a sack. Chandler Jones drops Fitzpatrick, and again, just a complete breakdown up front.
Wes Welker deep for the punt. Again, Julian Edelman not playing today. Welker taking over punt return duty from his own 15-yard line, up the sideline with running room, and slides down at about the 28 or 29-yard line. You get the latest news, analysis, and predictions from Jason LaCanfora, Pat Kerwin, and other CBS Sports experts. Watch Pro Football 360 live weekdays at 3 p.m. Eastern or on demand at cbssports.com/profootball360.
Greg, I just want to mention for the Patriots, having Welker return punts is hardly a downgrade. We were talking to Bill Belichick about it, and I said, I think a lot of people forgot what a really fine punt returner Wes Welker was when he came into the league. And he said, well, I remember when he was in Miami, we couldn't tackle him.
50's the mic! Louis! All right!
First down from their own 29 for New England.
Read it!
Brady with time and throws and almost intercepted on the far side of the field. That youngster Gilmore was there again.
Well, Tom Brady now twice has gone after Stephen Gilmore to his side of the field. And just look at this coverage. Now, normally when he turned the wrong way like that, you'd think he'd be in big trouble. That was one heck of a recovery. Not great technique, but what a recovery.
This is Brandon Bolin tipping to the outside and has first down yardage across the 40 to the 41. Brandon Bolin, a rookie free agent out of Mississippi.
Boy, and it's unusual to see this many kids playing for Bill Belichick. You know, normally he's such a believer in having veterans and guys who've been there before, but he's taken advantage of an influx of very young talent, and he's letting them play.
And before we get another snap off, we are going to run out of time here in the first quarter. That is the end of the first with the score, New England 7 and Buffalo nothing. We're coming back to Buffalo right after this. You're watching the NFL on CBS, the home of Super Bowl 47. Well, I'm sure there are bright sunny days somewhere across the country, but that's what it's looking like on the horizon here in Buffalo as we get set to start the second quarter.
Well, as of right now, though, the weather is very nice. The wind is negligible. Temperature around 60 degrees. I'm sure the players love it.
Brady with 5 receivers. No one in the backfield with him on first down. And threw that one behind Welker. It'll be 2nd and 10. This is a big game, even this early in the season, especially in the race for the AFC East.
Well, what an opportunity for Buffalo, not just to make a statement about where they are and that they're going to contend for a division title, but the damage they can do to New England by taking a 2-game lead on them only 4 games into the season. It's pretty heady stuff for the Bills.
We talked with Chan Gailey yesterday, and it was not been lost on him. This is Bolden. Out of bounds at about the 42 or 43-yard line. Brian Scott ran him out.
You know, Buffalo has been on the bottom of this division for so long as we look at Josh McDaniels there. And Tom Brady's so excited to have him back. But really, they've been looking up at New England for so long, they don't know any other reality. The fan base does, but the players on the team don't.
On 3rd and 8, the pass over the middle is complete to Woodhead, and that is going to come up short of first down yardage.
Now, Nick Barnett sitting right there. That's how you play it. You know where the sticks are. You let the guy catch it in front of you. You know he's got to break a tackle to get a first down. Barnett's right there in the middle of your screen. He's got his hook zone right there. He starts it. Jarris Bird helps finish it up. You'll give him the completion, make him kick.
Zoltan Mesko to kick it away. Born in Romania. Kicking to Leotis McKelvey.
Played where?
Michigan, I think.
Yes.
Oh, great special team play inside the 5-yard line. The ball down at the 1. Marquise Cole, number 23. Ryan Fitzpatrick going to start about as deep as you can get when we come back. Well, the Buffalo Bills are looking to make it a terrific September, and it would be that if they were able to walk away from this game with a victory over the New England Patriots.
Their field position's got to improve if they're going to have a chance of doing that.
Fred Jackson on the sideline, C.J. Spiller behind Ryan Fitzpatrick gets the handoff and looks for running room, bounces to the outside, and only manages a yard and a half, 2 yards. Kyle Harrington, the cornerback.
One too many bounces for C.J. Spiller. The first bounce got him some daylight. He's going to come in and and right there he should have headed upfield. He bounces one more time, and he bounces right into Harrington. had a hole. He had a crease where he could have gotten a couple positive yards. And one extra bounce took him right to the tackle.
On 2nd and 8, and the Patriots call timeout. So New England calls timeout. It's their first that they use here in the first half.
Well, they
It
had
stops the
11.
clock with 13.
They had 11 players.
Tuesday on CBS. See why Vegas is the #1 new show on television. If you have it on your DVR, watch it soon. Vegas only. CBS. You DVR, don't you do it?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And when you travel like we do, it's the only way to catch up.
Can you DVR breakfast?
I don't need to do that. Take a look at Buffalo. Again, they've had some success early in a drive, but then they have stalled out. But this drive, starting back inside the 2-yard line, their previous drive was at their own 6-yard line. That's staring at a whole lot of green between you and the end zone.
Fitzpatrick going to throw deep. Has a man open and underthrew him, and it's intercepted by Devin McCourty. T.J. Graham had him beaten up the sideline, and Fitzpatrick underthrew it.
He had him beaten by a good step and a step and a half. And if Ryan Fitzpatrick has the arm strength and the touch to lay it out there, who knows how far this would have gone. But McCourty having the underneath position, it was really a pretty routine interception. He just had to outfight. There once was a time when that could have been ruled simultaneous possession. But not in the world in which we live.
No, not anymore. Alert! 50! Patriots take over at the Buffalo 42. This is Bolden. Bolden up the middle for a first down to about the 30 before he is brought down.
Oh, and we've got a Buffalo player who's still down. Man, this is how you finish. Nice hole off the right guard. That looked, is that Marquise Cole?
It's Gilmore. It appears.
Oh, it's Gilmore.
Stephon Gilmore. First round draft pick out of South Carolina.
He comes in, Gilmore comes in and makes the tackle. He's going to come slicing in right there. And he really does an effective job of taking the legs. But that good sign there, though, that they haven't taken the helmet off, that he's standing up, walking around.
This is a Buffalo defense that allowed the Cleveland Browns just 33 rushing yards last week. They've given up 44 on the ground so far here today.
Gilmore has played a heck of a game to this point for the Buffalo defense.
The veteran Terrence McGee has replaced him.
43's the mic! Flip!
First down from the 30. Brady. On the move, throws, and that is incomplete. Intended for Gronkowski on the far side. A little bit of pressure there on Brady.
Yeah, but it was late pressure. I think initially Tom had a chance to look downfield. The plant throw that he had plenty of time to deliver this ball. He's forced to do this because of the Buffalo coverage from the back seven. There's Gronkowski. He's simply an escape clause here. And Tom Brady gets him a ball that Gronkowski could have caught. It would have only been for a yard. Credit the back seven of Buffalo. Well done.
2nd and 10. He's going to be on the ground. And this is Bolden, and Bolden going nowhere.
There's Kyle Williams.
Even the loss of a yard to the 31.
This guy is a heck of a good defensive tackle. Went to the Pro Bowl last year. You sit down and talk to the Patriots. The first guy they mention is Kyle Williams. Now it's asking an awful lot of Nate Solder to be able to come down and cut him off from the left tackle position. That's almost an impossibility. You can get a lesser player on the ground, but not Kyle Williams.
Another big defensive third down now for the Bills. 3rd and 11.
Ryan!
Brady with lots of time throwing. It is incomplete. Intended for Brandon Lloyd, and Aaron Williams was right there with him to bat it away.
Buffalo's awfully high on these two young corners of theirs. We've been talking about Gilmore, but there's Aaron Williams. He's in there with some good, solid coverage. And Brandon Lloyd, who's came into this game with 22 receptions, is having trouble finding the football from Tom Brady.
Gostowski. This would be from 49 yards out. Kick on its way, and no. No argument from Bill Belichick.
Well, Gostowski was 9 of 10 coming into today, making 9 of 11.
7-0.
They know what this sounds like in Buffalo. Wide right.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by the Samsung Galaxy S3. The next big thing is already here. McDonald's. I'm loving it. And by National Car Rental. Go National. Go like a pro.
That's a lot of water, Dan.
Yes, it is.
Get coverage of every NFL game with NFL Mobile's free premium access this weekend, including Sunday and Monday night games, NFL Red Zone, and NFL Network Access. Call *NFL to download NFL Mobile or go to NFL.com/mobile to learn more.
If I lived here in Buffalo, I wonder how often I would drive out there just to look at it. It's so awe-inspiring. The earth literally moves beneath your feet when you stand next to Niagara Falls.
Maybe you want to camp out.
And the earth moves when Vince walks around his house, too.
Best field position of the day to start a drive. There's a quick pass, and that's complete. And across midfield and into Patriot territory is Scott Chandler, the tight end.
Well, the Bills, now they're going to go to a hurry-up offense. They're going to a no-huddle, right to the line of scrimmage. Smart move. You don't have any points. Try to change it up a little bit, go up-tempo.
Fitzpatrick had thrown 2 interceptions in his previous 3 passes.
There's only incompletions of the day.
This is Jackson. Trying to turn the corner. Here's a penalty marker flying from the near side.
Devin McCourty that time. Good corner support.
Here's John Perry. His initial reaction is a holding call. Yes, John.
Holding, number 79, offense. The penalty's been declined. Result of the play, 2nd down.
So the Patriots say no thanks. Line of scrimmage is the Buffalo 49.
And the officials got to, as they have been all around the league, we saw it on Thursday night, and here as well, they got a nice little hand when they came out. But it's pretty much a one and done. They're back now, and they're fair game.
In the sights. Fitzpatrick going to go deep down the middle.
Get hit. Oh, did he get hit low? He got hide and load, and he is lucky he did not get hurt.
T.J. Graham, the intended receiver. Let's go back and take a look.
Oh, take a look coming from the bottom here.
Oh.
Boy, as he goes right over the top of Jermaine Cunningham. Woo. And Ryan Fitzpatrick is lucky. Chandler Jones hit him on the other side, and he is very fortunate.
A more uncomfortable day than usual for Fitzpatrick so far this year. 3rd and 12. With time, this time over the middle, incomplete. Chandler, the intended receiver. And Fitzpatrick threw into a bit of a crowd there.
You got the feeling that he was going after Scott Chandler all the way. He's looking at him, and just look at the pass, though. It's a little high, but I think Chandler was very much aware of the safety coming from the other direction.
Wes Welker back at his 10. Sean Powell with the kick. Fair catch called for and made just inside the 10-yard line. 10 minutes even to play here in the first half. Rob Gronkowski is back home, looking to do a little celebrating as a member of the visiting Patriots. Back at Ralph Wilson Stadium in Buffalo, 10 minutes to play here in the first half. And the Bills have Stephon Gilmore back on the field at cornerback as Brady begins first down inside his own 10-yard line. Play fake. Brady over the middle. Found Gronkowski. Gronkowski across the 20. Lost the football.
That's a fumble.
Jairus Byrd with the recovery.
I'll tell you, you see that so often when a guy's fighting for extra yards. Rob Gronkowski could have just dropped and gone to the ground, but not him. He's going to fight. He's wrapped up. There's a second guy. I'm going to take him on, but a great job of stripping the football by Jairus Byrd. I think Byrd comes in there and strips the ball. He claws it out of there, and then he recovers it himself.
New England suffers its first lost fumble of the season, and it gives Fitzpatrick and the Bills great field position.
You know, you just applaud a guy for the second effort, for fighting. He just won't go down. But guys are so good in the National Football League. The first guy stands you up. The second guy comes in to strip the football. And that is how you do it, the way the Buffalo Bills just did it to Rob Gronkowski.
C.J. Spiller in the backfield with Fitzpatrick. First down from the New England 24. Little pump fake. And now throwing to the end zone. It is caught! Touchdown! Chandler!
Patrick Chung had the coverage, but he didn't know where the football was. Patrick Chung does not see the football. He leaves his feet just a little bit late, and Scott Chandler with sensational concentration on the ball. Chung playing the receiver all the way, but not the ball. Just, he's trying to claw that arm out of there. He got the left arm away, but Chandler held it with only his right hand. Well done.
Fitzpatrick, 9th touchdown pass of the season. The extra point is good. And turning over the fumble, good for 7 points and a tie. The Bills have pulled even at 7-7.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by KFC. Delivered fresh. Prepared fresh with world-famous secret recipes. Come in today and taste why fresh is better.
All of a sudden, in this excitable crowd here at Ralph Wilson Stadium, Ryan Fitzpatrick, the touchdown pass, 24 yards to Scott Chandler.
Well, the reason this game is tied is because Buffalo turned it over twice, and New England got 0 points out of those 2 turnovers.
Buffalo's not done a great job of turning takeaways into points. 6 of them into 7 points prior to today. 1 takeaway, 7 points so far today. McCourty, a yard deep in the end zone. And battles his way out across the 15 to the 18. Let's go back to the touchdown.
Well, it all started with the fact that the offensive line gives Ryan Fitzpatrick a little play action there to Spiller, the pump fake, but again, no pressure whatsoever. There wasn't a New England front 4 guy anywhere near him. Patrick Chung is 5'11", Scott Chandler is 6'7", and he puts that 8-inch height advantage to work right there. Chung is clawing, grabbing, doing whatever he can, but Chandler, too good, too tall, touchdown.
From the 19-yard line. Brady throws this side of the field, and that's Wes Welker, and Welker's run out of bounds short of the 30-yard line by Gilmore.
But immediately Welker and Brady realize a huge cushion for Welker over there. This is what Dave Wannstedt, their defensive coordinator, said Brady is so good at. He settles for the short completions. He doesn't have to throw it long.
This is Ridley, and Ridley with room to run across the 35 to about the 38. Wannstedt called it, he goes for the money.
He takes the money. He goes, a lot of quarterbacks, they need to complete that 20-yard throw. Brady will take 4 5-yard throws every time. He takes the money and walks away from the table.
50 to Mike! 50 to Mike! First down now at the 37. The This is Ridley. Ridley with running room again up the middle. Across the 40 to the 43.
And now New England, it's their turn to kind of do the old muddle huddle. They're just talking things over a yard or two from the line and then getting up there. But Tom Brady wants to pick up the pace.
Ridley again. And Ridley to midfield. And that'll be enough for another Patriots first down.
I asked Tom Brady if he makes the call on whether to go no huddle or not. And he said, no, it comes from the sidelines. He said, if I really wanted to do it, I'm sure they'd let me do it. But he goes, Josh McDaniels and Bill Belichick, they call the shots.
Now Shane Vereen takes a turn in the backfield. He's carrying and gets back to the line of scrimmage and no more. Don, everything that we've seen here, Dan, indicates that offensive line is holding up so far for the Patriots in front of Brady.
Yeah, really are. Donald Thomas having to go instead of Logan Mankins, who's out.
Roger.
And that's just such a rarity to not have Mankins on the front line for the Patriots.
And Brady didn't see anything developing there and threw the ball into the dirt. Let's get back to New York once again, JB and Shannon.
Running the option at the pro level, Shannon?
Who has the better Wildcat quarterback, JB, San Francisco or the New York Jets? Well, Colin Kaepernick from 7 yards out scores first. The 49ers are up at MetLife 7-0 over the Jets.
All right, Greg Gumbel, Dan Dierdorf.
By the way, that last play was a design screen to the right. Mario Williams just standing right in the middle of it. That's why Brady just threw it into the ground.
3rd and 10. Brady with time over the middle, got his man inside the 35, complete to Brandon Lloyd for a first down.
And another good job by the guys up front for the Patriots. Dave Wannstedt, all the Buffalo defensive people telling us, Kyle Williams, we can't let Brady pose. That time Tom Brady just stood in the pocket and all the time, unchallenged, stepped right into it, delivered a strike.
John.
From the 33.
Paul! Louis Hartline! What? Louis Hartline! 23? 50! Read it! Hey, read it!
Brady under pressure there.
A lot of communication going on up there at the line of scrimmage.
That was almost a full-scale conversation.
Yeah, that was. There is Dave Wannstedt, the former head coach of the Miami Dolphins, Bears.
Adding the title of defensive coordinator this year.
University of Pittsburgh. He really, he said, I really am enjoying myself. I've loved getting back into the NFL. And I did it as a favor to my old friend, Chan Gailey.
This is Ridley. Yeah, Ridley through a hole on the left side to the 25. Be about 2 yards short of a first down. Nick Barnett there to make the stop.
And again, meeting at the line of scrimmage, Tom Brady running the offense without a huddle.
And no chance for any rotation up front for the Bills defense. This is Ridley, and Ridley diving for the first down. Let's see where they spot it. This will be really close.
It initially looks like it's short.
Yep.
It's going to be about a foot and a half short. Well, I don't know how high after Gostkowski missed that last field goal. I think in this situation, you're winning the battle up front. It's all about feeling the momentum of the drive. Let's continue it.
Stephen Ridley in the backfield behind Brady. Play clock down to 2, and he calls a timeout. Uses the second timeout here in the first half. 5:46 to play. Well, on the heels of that timeout, Bill Belichick taking his offense off of the field, and Stephen Gostkowski comes on for the field goal attempt, which looks like it'll be about 42 yards.
He missed the 49-yarder where he pushed it to the right. But by and large, Gostkowski is a pretty reliable field goal kicker.
Kick is on its way, and he missed that one. Wow.
9 of 10 is how Gostkowski started the season with field goals, and now today has gone 0 for 2. The first one was a push to the right, and this one he has a little bit of a hook to it, and he is about a couple feet outside on the left.
Bill Belichick wants to know who is that disguised as his field goal kicker.
And again, a couple trips into Buffalo territory, a couple turnovers, and it was just an opening 90-yard drive that is the only touchdown scored by the only point scored for New England in this game so far.
Fred Jackson in the backfield. First down, Buffalo from their own 32. Quick pass to the near side, T.J. Graham. The third-round draft pick out of North Carolina State.
I got to tell you right now, if you're a Buffalo Bill, you've got to think to yourself, we've had a couple horrible field positions. We started once at our own 6, another time at our own 2. They've kicked a couple field goals. They haven't made them. We've turned it over. They didn't capitalize. You got to start thinking, hey, maybe today's our day.
On 2nd and 3, Fitzpatrick going to throw that one complete to Jackson out of the backfield. Can't shake tacklers at the 40-yard line, and he's brought down. By the way, Craig Urbick, the right guard, still sidelined. His return is questionable. Chad Reinhardt is still in the lineup.
Yeah, Urbick has an ankle issue, and we'll see if he's able to come back.
Nor has Dante Hightower returned at linebacker for the New England Patriots. He's fighting a hamstring problem. 3rd and 3. Patrick going to go deep down the far sideline. It is by Fred Jackson out of the backfield, and Gerard Mayo made the stop. What a throw by Fitzpatrick.
Gerard Mayo, he's got to be incredulous that this ends up being a reception. Again, he doesn't turn. He doesn't play the football. He can't react until he sees Fred Jackson react and reach out for the football. And what a perfect throw by Fitzpatrick on that wheel route up the sideline by Freddie Jackson.
34 yards to the 27-yard line. And this is C.J. Spiller. Spiller right up the middle, inside the 20, and then dips back out again. Devin McCourty ran him out at the 20-yard lane. He actually had a little yardage and then gave ground looking for more.
When I saw C.J. Spiller driven into the ground last week, I would not have believed my eyes to see this only 7 days later, that he's able to perform and play like this. Talk about being a fast healer.
On 2nd and 3, Fitzpatrick with time over the middle, touchdown! Chandler with his second TD catch of the day.
Now, if it worked the first time, why not try it again? I'm going to go to my 6'7" tight end. And that was a lightning quick drive by the Bills. Again, no pass rush to speak of, and splitting the safeties right down the middle of the field. Brandon Spikes is underneath. He can't stay with Chandler. And by the time either of the safeties reacts back to the middle, you see Chung is too late coming in. It's just a really, really good pattern.
Scott Chandler has shown us a really good pair of hands here today.
And that's the matchup they wanted. Brandon Spikes can't run downfield with Chandler.
3.5 minutes to play in the first half. The Buffalo Bills grab a 14-7 lead. Fred Jackson helped the cause with the fine catch down the sideline, setting up the touchdown pass to Scott Chandler. This coming off of the missed field goal by Gostkowski. McCourty will not return this one. It'll be first down from the 20-yard line, and let's go back to the touchdown pass.
Well, Scott Chandler, here's Chandler right over here. Here's Spikes. But watch these two safeties as he comes down and just splits them right down the middle. Now, Spikes is not going to be able to run with him. He peels off short a little bit, and both safeties, in my estimation, way too slow to react to a pattern right down the middle of the field. And it's not like a guy the size of Scott Chandler can get lost.
Ridley in the backfield on first down. And this is Ridley trying the right side, stopped at the goal at the line of scrimmage by Brian Scott. You know, Dan, we came in expecting to see some exploits by a tight end. We just didn't know it'd be Chandler.
No, and it's I'm sure Scott Chandler, hey, he's a competitor like anybody else. You couldn't go an hour up here without hearing something about Rob Gronkowski coming back home. I'm sure there's a little bit of, hey, I'm not chopped liver. I'm okay too, you know.
On 2nd and 10, Brady running out of time, and he goes down.
Darius was in there. Again, I think Tom's having trouble finding somebody open downfield. He plants. He had plenty of time to throw this football. Williams gets in there. Darius is in there. You saw Mario Williams go behind, but he had time. He had time to set up and deliver a throw. Again, another good job of coverage by the back end of the Buffalo defense.
3rd and 17. Brady over the middle. Welker looking for first down yardage. Not going to get there. Brought up about 3 or 4 yards short. And a lost football. Going the other way. Well, Jarris Bird is getting all kinds of kudos on the sideline.
Yeah, and the ball,
and that's why.
That's right. He comes in and hits Welker from behind, and I don't think Welker was down when that ball comes loose. There's the hit, and he was not down. That is a fumble.
And Brian Scott with the recovery.
Again, watch from the right. Here comes Bird. Bang! That hit dislodges the football before Welker's elbow was able to touch the ground. Well, because of the new rules in the National Football League, every scoring play and every turnover can be reviewed if the replay official upstairs wants the referee to come over and take a look at it.
And I'm sure what they will look at is whether or not Welker was down or not, and he most certainly was not.
Not from our first indications. He is. I don't think that, again, his knee doesn't touch, and I think that ball is out before the elbow touches. That is a fumble. I do not believe that there's any way that John Perry is going to overturn that. And you could tell when Wes Welker walked off the field, he didn't put up a fight.
What a golden opportunity this presents the Buffalo Bills.
And again, credit the Buffalo Bills defensively. They stripped Rob Gronkowski as he was attempting to fight for extra yards. That time they knocked it loose from Wes Welker as he was attempting to fight for first down yardage. The effort is there on the part of the Patriots, but these Bills, they have been opportunistic. It just appears to be pretty apparent to me that was a fumble.
Chan Gailey, I asked him yesterday how he was going to present this game to his team, and he says, I don't have to say anything to them. They know how big this game is.
After reviewing the play, it was a catch and a fumble. As called in the field, plays back to third First and 10, Buffalo.
First down, Buffalo at the New England 21.
How's that for a uncharacteristic handling of the football?
A sudden influx of fumbleitis. Last two drives, 2 touchdowns. Fitzpatrick, far side of the field. Incomplete, intended for Chandler. It'll be 2nd and 10.
Great job that time by Patrick Chung. That's the way you contest the pass to the outside. Well, Scott Chandler has been the Patriots' nemesis here at this end of the field with a pair of touchdown catches.
C.J. Spiller in the backfield. Fitzpatrick gonna throw. Incomplete.
He goes right down the middle of the field. He's trying to find Donald Jones, and there was a cluster of New England defenders back there. I think Ryan Fitzpatrick was pretty happy that nothing bad happened on that throw. He threw in an area where he was seriously outnumbered.
3rd and 10. C.J. Spiller set as a wide receiver to the top of the screen. Fitzpatrick over the middle, got his man inside the 10-yard line. Brad Smith with the catch. It'll be 1st and goal.
Boy, you rush 3, drop 8. Nobody's supposed to be that open.
Just under 2 minutes to play here in Buffalo. When we come back, the Buffalo Bills knocking on the door once again. Back in Buffalo, where the Buffalo Bills are riding a 2-game winning streak, the Patriots on a 2-game losing streak, and Buffalo with a chance to go up 2 touchdowns before halftime.
This is where every offensive team would love to be able to run the football effectively. Can you power it in?
Spiller inside the 5 to the 4. Wes Welker a fumble. Gronkowski a fumble. We come up on 1.5 minutes to play here in the first half.
If the Patriots had a full complement of timeouts, I think they'd be using them, but they've only got one.
Straight ahead to the goal line. No touchdown call yet, a loose football.
Somehow Vince Wilfork is holding the football, and it's a Patriots ball.
No question who comes away with that ball.
Did you hear that hit? Whoa. What? Let's see if we can actually see the ball come out.
Wilfork comes away with the ball out of the pile.
Spiller is inside that sea of humanity somewhere. Brandon Spikes comes in with the big hit.
And there's Wilfork grabbing the football.
Well, again, because that's a turnover, that can be automatic. That'll, you know, the replay official is looking at it right now. I don't see, with that sea of people around there, you can't actually, a ruling on the field was a fumble, and it stands.
First down, Ridley, straight ahead, running room, across the 10, out to about the 14-yard line. And we come up on 1 minute to play here in the first half.
Well, both these teams have things to lament New England got a couple of Buffalo turnovers and wasn't able to score off of either of them. And man, it is ultra frustrating for a football team to be down at the 1 yard line like that and come away with zilch.
Ridley. A reminder, coming up on the Verizon Halftime Report, JB, Dan, Shannon, Boomer, Coach Bill Cowher will have all the latest NFL scores and highlights on the Verizon Halftime Report, which is 25 seconds away.
And that was a big first down for the Patriots because Buffalo had all 3 of their timeouts left. They could have used them and tried to set up a punt, but that first down, that was the end of that.
So that will do it for the first half.
Buffalo's ahead, Greg, but they got to be a little frustrated with that last opportunity. They had a chance to go 2 touchdowns up.
New England can say it could have been worse, but we are at halftime at Ralph Wilson Stadium. Buffalo leading New England by a score 14-7. The Verizon Halftime Report with JB and the usual suspects back in New York right after this. This is the NFL on CBS. Kick is on its way, and he missed that one. To the end zone, it is caught. Touchdown. And back at Ralph Wilson Stadium in Buffalo as we get set for the start of the third quarter. Buffalo with a 1-touchdown lead, 14-7. Let's have a look now at the DirecTV Ultimate Picture Cam, Dan.
Well, we had a chance here for the Bills to take a 2-touchdown lead, but they found the middle of the New England defense to be impenetrable. And Vince Wilfork comes away with the fumble from C.J. Spiller. And, you know, what's really unusual here, Greg, it's surprising, these two teams normally a little more efficient in taking care of the football. 5 turnovers in just the first 30 minutes.
Welcome back to Buffalo, everyone. Greg Gumbel along with Dan Deerdorf. And the interesting thing right now is, remember, the New England Patriots won the toss and they deferred, which means they'll get their hands on the football first and try to turn the momentum around here in the second half.
And we'll see what adjustments they made at halftime. Remember, they opened up this game going 90 yards right down the field like the Buffalo defense wasn't even there. Now, since then, Buffalo has tightened it up. But you give the Patriots a little chance to think about something, and they can make it happen.
Devin McCourty is deep. And what a big defensive stand that was at the end of the first half for the Patriots to keep this a 1-touchdown game. McCourty will not run this one out of the end zone.
Well, the second quarter was pretty active. Yeah, interesting, you could say that. It had a little bit of everything. Gronkowski, after picking up first down yardage, gets stripped of the ball by Jarvis Byrd. That led to this touchdown pass to Scott Chandler. Gronkowski misses his second field goal of the day, pulling it to the left. And then Ryan Fitzpatrick comes right back to Chandler, his second touchdown reception of the game. And it's 14-7 Buffalo. And missed opportunities for both teams.
From the 20-yard line, Brady. Gonna throw out here, complete. Welker, and Welker up the sideline and bounced out. He's at about the 46-yard line.
Well, the Patriots are getting ready to start the second half, and Tom Brady can't find his helmet. Of course, he's got the helmet that's got the speakers in it so that he can hear Josh McDaniels calling the plays.
43's the mic! This is Brandon Bolden. Up and down. For about 1.5 yards, 2 yards to the 48. Brian Scott with the tackle.
Yeah, Brian Scott is kind of a hybrid. He's their nickel linebacker, but he's played cornerback. He's played safety.
Yeah, he's not a big linebacker at all.
No, 6'1", 225. He's a real hybrid player with great speed and instincts. That's what it takes to play on the nickel.
2nd and 8. Brady eludes the pressure, eludes some more, goes deep. It is incomplete. Almost pulled in by Gronkowski, and Gilmore was there with him.
What a play by Stephon Gilmore to dislodge the football from Rob Gronkowski. Oh, wow, what a hit. Brady steps up, and he delivers a strike right onto the hands of Gronkowski, and it was a bone-jarring hit by Gilmore to knock that thing loose. And Gronkowski is going, I've enjoyed my previous trips to Buffalo more than this one.
This one, not so much. 3rd and 8. Brady running out of time. Batted down at the line of scrimmage, incomplete.
I think Mark Anderson back there is going, how did Brady get out of this? I mean, this looks like Tom Brady. Again, he grabbed from behind, and you know, you don't have to be a Michael Vick. You don't have to be Tim Tebow to possess those kind of skills to have pocket awareness. Tom Brady has pocket awareness. He is flush with it.
Nesko hangs it up high. Fair catch, ball 4, and made by Leotis McKelvin. 13:45 to play in the 3rd quarter. Rob Gronkowski came that close to a huge play. Stephon Gilmore made a bigger play. Nice view of Ralph Wilson Stadium here in Buffalo. First down for the Bills at their own 17-yard line. Fred Jackson in the backfield. Chad Reinhardt still at right guard. Craig Urbick has not returned since injuring an ankle in the first half. Jackson, far side, and grabbed from behind by Tracy White.
And we're now being told by the Buffalo staff that Urbick will not return. That ankle injury is going to keep him from playing anymore in this game. So Reinhardt is there for the duration.
No gain on the play, makes it 2nd and 10. Get movement up front.
Ball start, number 79. Offense, 5-yard penalty, 2nd down.
Right tackle Eric Pierce.
Well, a lot of movement that time up front for New England. They were flipping people from one side to the other, and somehow Pierce lost his concentration.
Vince Wilfork. I don't know if he looks bigger on the field or bigger when he's sitting with us in the meeting.
Well, he's actually might be in the best shape of his career.
Fitzpatrick over the middle, tipped and incomplete. Brandon Spikes with a hand on it. That had Big Gainer written all over it if it had gotten through to Chandler.
Well, again, Fitzpatrick trying to work the middle of the field where he's had some success going to Chandler, and Chandler was open, but the ball gets batted at the 2nd level. And there's 3 different guys actually getting a piece of Vince Wilfork. That's what happens when you're good.
And he is.
But the Bills have had some success down the middle of the field and up the seam for Chandler. I doubt they'll go away from it.
On 3rd and 15, here comes the blitz, and the screen is set up, and that's Jackson, and Jackson on the move. Jackson looking for first down yardage and got it.
What a one-handed stab by Fred Jackson. First of all, to corral the football. So he takes care of the most important thing first. It's behind him, but now where are my blockers? And look at that cut to get back in behind his guys. Reinhardt gets a good block all the way across the field. That was a brilliant piece of work by Fred Jackson.
Fred Jackson, 3 catches, 50 yards on the day. First down. Jackson again. Jackson wearing that brace on that right knee. Said, how do you like it? He said, I don't.
Well, when a guy comes back like Fred Jackson has done, prematurely, early, you think he's going to be out for a couple weeks. You can't believe how that sweeps through a locker room. How everybody gets a little quicker in their step, a little more attentive in the meetings, because they know what Fred Jackson is doing. And We had more than a couple Buffalo Bills stars. Fred Jackson is the heart and soul of this football team.
Fitzpatrick on 2nd and 6. Quick pass is complete. And there he goes. Donald Jones. Jones cuts it to the far side. Can he get there? Touchdown.
Well, the Buffalo Bills have been working the middle of the field, splitting New England safeties. And right here, Patrick Chung comes up short. And the last line of defense just isn't there for New England. That cut makes Steve Gregory go a lot of extra yards, and he's not able to close the distance. But Buffalo is on to something, going right down the middle of the field against Belichick's safeties. And the longest play of Donald Jones' career, and it was a biggie.
68-yard touchdown pass. The extra point is good. 11:08 to play here in the third. And the Bills stretch their lead to 2 touchdowns, 21-7.
NFL on CBS is sponsored by Southwest Airlines. Find our fares online only at southwest.com. Scottrade. See for yourself why so many investors are saying, I'm with Scottrade. And by the all-new Dodge Dart. Dodge. New rules.
It's a pretty happy Buffalo crowd, and why not? Their Bills with a 21-7 lead. 11:08 to play here in the third quarter. Devin McCourty is deep for New England. This will sail out of the end zone for the touchback. And, you know, for a defensive-minded coach like Bill Belichick, he must be having nightmares about his defense, Dan.
Yeah, you're right, Greg. This was against Tennessee. Nate Washington, that was for 24 yards. In the second week, it was Arizona. There's Todd Heath. That was good for 28. And then, of course, last Sunday night, Jacoby Jones had this 41-yard reception. And then Donald Jones. And again, a missed tackle, but the middle of the field wide open. And everybody who follows New England knows how much they love the front seven, but the secondary has been suspect. And that's not helping the cause.
Read it! Brady and company from the 20-yard line. Over the middle. That is complete to Brandon Bolden. Now, this New England offense has been stuttering since the touchdown on the first drive. 3 punts, 2 missed field goals, and 2 fumbles.
You looked at that opening drive, and they made it so easy. It was surgical the way Brady took them apart. And you're right, it ended there.
This is Brandon Bolden. Bolden with running room. Right side. First down yardage and then some. Midfield and into Buffalo territory before George Wilson brings him down.
Well, you can see how this free agent made the team. Now, first of all, he enjoys a gaping hole off the right side of the New England offense. He's not even challenged until he gets into the secondary, but that was good effort and good work of the sidelines by Bolden.
From the Buffalo 42. Bolden again. Right side again. Running room again. First down inside the 30.
Well, this is the Patriots now playing with a little urgency on offense. And take a look at how they're getting out front. Sebastian Vollmer gets out there. Gronkowski, a good block. Let's follow Gronk. Yeah, he's on Mario Williams. Look at that, running him out of there.
This is Ridley, and Ridley to the 22.
If you're going to play tight end in this league, you're going to have to, at some time, go one-on-one with a defensive end, and that's what Gronk had to do that last time, drive blocking Mario Williams. This looks like New England's opening drive, right? Gobbling up yardage.
Ridley spinning, looking for a first down, and looks to be right at that first down marker and beyond it. It's first down.
Nice spin after Ridley just got stood up at the line. Wanted to take that off left guard. There was nothing there at all.
Clock dips under 9 minutes to play here in the third. Play fake. Brady inside the 5, incomplete.
Oh,
Gronkowski.
oh, he was wide open too. George Wilson, the defender, but that should have been a completion. Gronkowski is wide open. The little play action. Tom sees him right away. There it is, right on his hands, and he's not able to pull it in. He was comfortably in front of the safeties.
On 2nd and 10, Ridley for a couple to the 17. And Brian Scott again in on the play defensively.
Well, Dave Wanstead is sitting back in a nickel defense. That time Gronk was actually going to try to block Brian Scott, but he didn't have the right angle.
And on 3rd and 9, Danny Woodhead into the game for New England. In the
Buffalo-
backfield with Brady.
Buffalo likes that last graphic where Gronkowski was targeted 8 with only 3 receptions.
Brady running out of time, on the move, throws, complete, inside the 5 to the end zone, touchdown, Danny Woodhead. And Brady made that play with a scramble.
He made it with the scramble, and Woodhead made it by breaking off his route, seeing his quarterback was in trouble, and he comes back to the middle of the field. When Brady comes out of here, okay, Woodhead was over on the sideline, but he breaks away from his defender, breaks the tackle. That was good work by both of them, especially by Brady. But Barnett just not able to stay with Danny Woodhead for 8 or 9 seconds, which is basically how long Tom Brady was holding onto the football, moving around.
Gostkowski needs the extra point just for a feel-good moment, and he's got it. 8:10 to play here in the third quarter. New England moves to within a touchdown. It's 21-14. That touchdown pass for Tom Brady. 36th straight game with a TD pass. We can see how he measures up with some great names on that list.
Well, Drew Brees just right behind the great Johnny U. And Brees' streak is still alive as well.
Brad Smith deep in the end zone along with Leotis McKelvin. And this will be not returned by McKelvin.
Down in the end zone.
Let's go back and take a look at the New England touchdown, and just good teammate work here. Here's Danny Woodhead right here. He's going to run out into the flat. He's going to see Brady in trouble, and he comes back here. Here's Nick Barnett. You're asking an awful lot of this linebacker to stay with Woodhead. All right, here's Woodhead. Oh, wait a minute. It's not over. My QB is in trouble. Comes back, makes himself a target. And Nick Barnett, you're asking really the impossible. You can't cover a guy forever, just single coverage. But very alert by Danny Woodhead being there for his quarterback.
So now the Buffalo Bills back on offense. 3 touchdowns in their last 4 drives. Time of possession dead even at 18:25 apiece. Down the sideline. Incomplete, intended for Graham.
Well, Devin McCourty was right in his hip pocket. And Ryan Fitzpatrick, where he made one mistake early of underthrowing that same pattern, that time overthrew it. And that's nothing terrible happens when you overthrow it, unless you're throwing down the middle of the field and hit a safety with it. But on a sideline pattern like that, a fly pattern up the side, that's where you make your mistake. You make it long.
On 2nd and 10, this is C.J. Spiller. And Spiller's going nowhere,
Hello,
courtesy of Vince Wilfork. Tonight, see what makes The Amazing Race the most celebrated reality show ever. Don't miss the season premiere of the Emmy-winning Amazing Race. Tonight after 60 minutes, only CBS.
Well, an incompletion gets you nothing, and then that running play gets you barely a yard, courtesy of Wilfork staying home. And C.J. Spiller, not the biggest back in the league, he can't be all that excited about being absorbed by Vince Wilfork.
Absorbed is a good way to put it. 3rd and 9. time, throwing, incomplete. Near side intended for Chandler.
That's not the drive that Buffalo was hoping for. A quick 3 and out right after their defense had been gashed. Again, Big Vince running a game inside. He works to the outside, picks up double coverage. You're allowed a little contact in that 5-yard zone. That was a pretty good jersey grab in there by Sterling Moore.
Sean Powell gets a chance to unload on one. And he does. Welker watches this one sail out of bounds. That's a pretty good kick. Sean Powell booms one down to the 25-yard line. 54-yard punt. We've got a penalty marker down.
Clear over on the far sideline. This couldn't be any farther away from the action. This is over in front of the Patriots bench.
During the kick, holding, number 27 of the return team, 10-yard penalty from the end of the kick, timeout of the field.
Tavon Wilson will probably be asked, what is the need to hold so far away from the play?
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Warner Brothers Pictures Argo, in theaters everywhere October 12th. And by Frost Brewed Coors Light, the world's most refreshing beer.
Field position has not been a friend to the New England Patriots. The 5th drive today that begins for them inside their own 20-yard line. Rita! Brady, complete. Near sideline, Wes Welker. This is a huge game. In the AFC East, the Buffalo Bills, after losing their opener at New York against the Jets, with victories over Kansas City and Cleveland. Meanwhile, the Patriots trying to snap a 2-game losing streak.
And when last I saw, the Jets were getting beat.
Ridley.
Marcel Darius was right there just waiting for Ridley. Boy, the Buffalo folks can't be much higher than they are on Marcel Darius. You expect a player after his rookie season to take a big leap that second year and really figuring out what it means to be a pro football player. He's got a great example next door in Kyle Williams, and he's doing all the right things.
Brady over the middle. He's got Welker again, and Welker out to about the 44-yard line for another New England first down. This, Dan, and you made the point to several of the Patriots and also to the Buffalo Bills that with the circumstances facing the New England Patriots coming in here today, this is the kind of game they go out and win.
And this is the kind of game they always win.
50 to Mike!
That has been their calling card for the last 11 years.
Bolden with running room up the middle, and Bolden inside the 40 to the 36-yard line.
Well, again, here's that front four of Buffalo that everybody's so high on really getting gashed. And it's all the way between the second and third levels before the ball carrier is even challenged.
Bolden again. Boy, the Patriots are piling up the rushing yards today.
And again, keep in mind they're doing it without Logan Mankins, who didn't even make the trip here to Buffalo. And, you know, Mankins is so important to this football team because of that mental edge that he brings. He's not just a tough guy, but he's an in-your-face play right up and through the whistle kind of guy. Donald Thomas is doing a pretty good job filling in at left guard.
2nd and 6. Brady again with time over the middle inside the 15 to Welker.
And Kyle Williams hit Tom Brady in the knees, and the flag comes in.
Personal foul, roughing the passer. Number 95. Half the distance to the goal with an automatic first down. Contact to the quarterback's knee area.
There goes Kyle Wilson, and that you're not allowed to do that. I know he was going down. It puts a defensive lineman and anyone rushing the quarterback in a really tough spot. But the quarterback is a protected animal in the National Football League. And Tom Brady, of course, who took a shot to the knee that cost him an entire season, he's one of those protected guys.
Patriots looking for a tying touchdown. This is Bolden, and Bolden just inside the 5-yard line. Brian Scott with the tackle.
See, if Tom Brady was running with the football, Kyle Williams would have been able to tackle him down there just like anybody else. But he was set up in the passing position, and that's why John Perry threw the flag.
Second and goal, Brady on the move, gonna run with it to the end zone for the touchdown.
Even Tom Brady's got to bust out into a smile with that. And you do not spend 1 nanosecond of your week working on Tom Brady leaving the pocket and running upfield. No, there's no spy. No one stays in for that. That is about as common as Haley's Comet. Now the question, where did Tom's knee, where was the ball when Tom's knee touches the ground? Because it's a scoring play, the booth upstairs automatically can take a look at it. There's his knee. When I first saw it, I thought he might be short, but then I watched it again. I thought, there's the knee. They have the ball. The ball appears like it might be short of the goal line. This might get brought back and placed at about the 6-inch line.
And Spencer Johnson making the dive for him, made the contact.
Yeah. We got a pretty good look at it right there. If we could go right there. There's the knee on the ground. And the ball
is short of the goal line.
Yeah, boy, not by much. Not by much. And I'm not 100% sure that the knee actually even touched. When you look at it, you keep waiting for that definitive look of the knee compressing the turf. And, it's conceivable that his leg straightened out without the knee actually making contact. This is, again, let's see, can we really see his right knee making a dent in the turf? Boy, that is, I don't see anything underneath it.
And I don't
Question is going to be, is that enough for John Perry to overturn?
I don't think he can stretch that leg out without it making contact with the turf.
That's probably true, but again, you have to.
Here's John Perry.
After reviewing the play stands as called.
See, keep in mind, because it was called a touchdown, John Perry had to see conclusive evidence that knee was on the ground.
So Tom Brady gets a rushing touchdown on the board.
And the officials are welcomed back to work by a chorus of boos from the Buffalo crowd.
Gostowski for the tie. .353 to play in the third. New England has outscored Buffalo 14-0 in the last 4 minutes. 17 seconds. We're tied at 21. Kind of tells the story, Dan.
Well, look at those 4 possessions before halftime. 2 missed field goals, 2 fumbles. And then they didn't get much done to start the third quarter. But wow, they've got it going now with back-to-back touchdown drives.
This kick will not be returned by Leotis McKelvin. It'll come out to the 20-yard line. Gives us a chance to remind you Wednesday on Showtime. JB, Chris Collinsworth, Phil Simms break down America's Sunday pastime as only they can. Inside the NFL Wednesday in primetime on Showtime.
Well, Buffalo had all the momentum. The crowd was rocking on and having a great time, up 21-7. And things are a little quieter here at Ralph Wilson Stadium now. Now a little pressure falls on the Buffalo offense. Not just to score points, obviously, but their defense needs to collect itself.
How about just a first down?
Yeah, a couple first downs would be nice.
New England with 11 first downs here in the third quarter. Buffalo with 2. Buffalo now with 3. Donald Jones on the receiving end out over the 40 to about the 42-yard line.
If you can give Fitzpatrick time, you're going to find people open in the New England secondary. And that's pretty much every team in the league has been finding people. Just a straight 4-man rush. And Ryan Fitzpatrick all the time in the world to step into it. And more importantly, more time for Donald Jones to run a long pattern and come open.
Fred Jackson in the backfield. This is Jackson. And can't get away from number 50.
Yeah, Rob
Ninkovich.
Yeah, and he, you know, Greg, in this era of hybrids, you know, Ninkovich is a linebacker sometimes. He's a defensive end sometimes, and along with Brandon Spikes, they're both in there. But Ninkovich is now playing more down defensive end than he is linebacker. And he's really undersized at 6'2", 260.
Lost 2 on the play, 2nd and 12. Fitzpatrick got hit from behind and lost the football.
Ninkovich. That was Ninkovich that got around the corner. Rob Ninkovich this time. Ninkovich, he puts his hand on the ground. He's going to play conventional defensive end right there at the bottom, number 50. He gets around Eric Pierce. And that time Fitzpatrick, thinking he had more time than he didn't feel Ninkovich coming in from behind.
And the rookie Cordy Glenn is slow to get off the turf. I think he took a shot from behind.
When an offensive lineman gets hurt, more often than not, it's just because the traffic around him fell on his legs. While you're planted, you got all your weight on your legs, you're trying to muscle somebody out of the way, and you're very vulnerable.
And the Buffalo Bills really can't afford to be losing any more offensive linemen here.
Well, he's just, this kid's got greatness written all over him.
Cordy Glenn is number 77.
There he is right there on the right. No, you can see, yep, you can see Fitzpatrick and Ninkovich both fall on the back of his leg. And it looks like that, was it his right leg that was caught underneath him? It just, you can't feel it coming, and you can't do anything about it because you're locked onto the guy in front of you. Oh, you always start in a situation like this with going, does the guy put weight on it walking off the field? That's a positive.
So Chris Hairston, a second-year offensive lineman out of Clemson, will replace Cordy Glenn at left tackle.
You know, sometimes your brain tells you that you're really, really hurt because you think you just can't withstand this.
Mine says that 24/7.
Yeah. And then sometimes, it's not as bad as your brain's telling you it is.
3rd and 17.
Pressure on Hairston, though, the first play out of the game to be 3rd and 17.
Fitzpatrick throws, overthrew Stevie Johnson on the far side of the field.
Well, a disappointing series for Buffalo, although they did get 1 first down and they did give their defense a little bit of time to gather themselves. But right now, Tom Brady is feeling it. And when Tom Brady is feeling it, that's not really good if you're on the defensive side of things.
Sean Paul got off a pretty good kick last time, not so good this time. Off the side of his foot and flubs it off to the side, near side of the field.
I think Brian Moorman right now is thinking to himself, I could have done that.
Let's check back into the NFL today in New York. JB and Shannon Sharp. Guys.
Greg and Dan, watch this.
I'm going to try to explain it the best way I can, JB. Mark Sanchez passes to Santonio Holmes in the flat. Since no one touches him, he throws the ball down. It's a live football. Carlos Rogers scoops it up, 51 yards for the touchdown. Santonio Holmes was carted off the field. We do not know the extent of the injury.
Okay, Greg and Dan.
All right, guys, thank you. That was a 28-yard punt off the foot of Sean Powell. Terrific field position. Brady throws this side. Boy, how many times have we seen that today? Wes Welker.
Well, Tom Brady throws the out pattern. It's precision. This is a hard pass to throw, and he puts it on the outside where it's so natural for Welker to swivel his hips and his shoulders upfield. The reception and the turn upfield are all one continuous move, and it's because of an accurate pass.
On 2nd and 2, Ridley. Straight ahead and right at that first down marker at the 47-yard line. And that's going to be a first down. No, it's going to be a first down. Or is it? Yes, it is. First down. I thought it was interesting talking to Tom Brady, and Brady was refuting the fact that, there are people who have said maybe these Patriots have been playing without confidence, and he said, it's not that we don't have confidence, just that we haven't done enough to win.
No. 2 losses by a total of 3 points. It's not like they're getting run out of stadiums.
New set of downs for Brady and the Patriots. That's Gronkowski, and Gronkowski inside the 40 to the 39. Another first down.
Well, again, such a big target, Rob Gronkowski, and he had the one fumble today, and Nick Barnett is having a busy afternoon of chasing people around. I know everybody here in Buffalo says we'd like to see Mario Williams make a play. He's number 94 there, the top of the Buffalo defensive line.
This is Ridley. And Ridley with running room up the middle inside the 30 to the 29, and that will be another first down when we come back to Ralph Wilson Stadium. We've played 3 here in Buffalo. New England and the Bills tied at 21-21. Big matchup in the AFC East. We'll be back after this message and a word from your local station. Once again, our thanks to DirecTV. The aerial shots of today's game that they've provided is terrific. Have been terrific.
The stadium has been here since, 73? And, it's a large stadium for a small market, but they have rabid fans here.
Play fake. Brady. Oh, touchdown, Gronkowski.
Wide open. Rob Gronkowski has been running down the seam against NFL defenses for 3 years, and how he can do so here completely unattended. Obviously, a pretty big gaffe by the Buffalo secondary.
He is what you would call a dangerous receiver.
You can see Brian Scott, number 43, he almost tried to reach out and grab him as he went by. I think he thought a giant uh-oh at the time.
Gostkowski with the extra point, and that is good. And for the first time since the early stage of this game, the New England Patriots on top. 21 straight points to lead it, 28-21. Think Rob Gronkowski's been a little busy these last couple of years?
Well, number 30 was awfully easy. He'd have 60 if they were all that easy.
Along with our producer Mark Wolf, our director Bob Fishman, Greg Gumbel, Dan Deerdorf, and our CBS Sports crew here in Buffalo. The Patriots have come back to take a 28-21 lead on the Bills. McKelvin and Smith are deep. Out of the end zone is McKelvin, straight up the middle. into the 21-yard line, back to the TD.
Well, Buffalo is playing two deep safeties. Here they are back here, but they're both going to play the outside of the field. Here's the Gronk right here, and right there is Brian Scott. And watch Brian Scott. Oops, right there, but then he's unsure of what coverage they're playing. And then his head immediately whips around, and he's going to start asking people, what coverage were we in? Well, looking at the two safeties going to the outside, it looked like Scott was maybe supposed to man up and run with Gronkowski.
You think the wrong coverage would be the easy answer?
Yes.
C.J. Spiller in the backfield with Fitzpatrick. Spiller with the handoff. Spiller with running room up the middle. Up to the 35-yard line and a first down for Buffalo. Rob Ninkovich.
Spiller's hurt. His shoulder's hurt again. No, I give him a lot of credit for coming back as quickly as he did. But when he hits, let's see how he lands here. Boy, he can make people miss, can't he?
He had 100 yards rushing each of the first two games. He had 169 rushing week one against the Jets. Fred Jackson in the backfield. Jackson with the handoff to about the 37.
You know, that seems to be the scheme when these two play each other. Remember last year they split their series, but each one of them jumped out to a big lead.
21-point lead.
And ended up being the loser in both of the games.
That's the bad sign.
Well, this is an entirely different environment here in Ralph Wilson Stadium compared to what it sounded like when the Bills went up 21-7.
This is Jackson.
Oh, ball's out.
Another loose ball, and it looks like another recovery by the Patriots.
What a hit by Brandon Spikes. I think he's the guy that jarred it loose. And Fred Jackson came to an abrupt halt when he made contact with Brandon Spikes. Still haven't seen a signal as to who's recovered it, except for Vince Wilforks, but his doesn't count.
And now it's official.
So on back-to-back plays, C.J. Spiller comes to the side. Watch this. Man, that is a bone-jarring hit by Brandon Spikes. And Fred Jackson can't get back to the football.
Fourth Buffalo turnover of the afternoon.
Boy, that is how you stand a guy up and stop him flat.
Brady takes a look. From
Watch
the
out.
Buffalo 42.
Watch out for him going to the end zone.
Pass batted away incomplete, intended for Brandon Lloyd and Stephon Gilmore. Boy, Stephon Gilmore has proven he can stand in there and hold his own.
Well, you remember he had to leave the game for a while with an injury, and he's come back. But now he again was playing the receiver, not the football, and the football hits Gilmore right in the back of the helmet. But the Buffalo Bills just gush about this kid's cover skill.
Second and 10. This is Stephen Ridley. And Ridley with running room up the middle, inside the 30-yard line, and a first down. Boy, the ground game has been something special today.
Major props to the way this offensive line of the New England Patriots has responded to their best player not being in this game. I mean, these guys have really stepped it up. Sebastian Vollmer right there, he's handled Mario Williams. Donald Thomas has stepped in beautifully for Mankins at left guard. Solder, Wendell, Conley. I mean, these guys are getting after it.
This is Brandon Bolden, and Bolden with running room on the left side, inside the 20-yard line. And Donna, I'm going to mention the elephant in the room, Dan. Number 47, Michael Oamanuanui, also throwing blocks.
Good for you. I'm glad you got his name in there. He is number 47 to me, if I have to give him a call. But again, that's just good, hard run, but great blocking by these guys.
There he is. third
Oha
year out of
Manawanui.
Illinois. No,
I can do it.
No, you didn't.
Oa Manawanui.
No, you didn't. Oa Manawanui.
You know, you just put a little inflection where
Yes,
you feel like putting it.
Inflection
Who says
is what
you're right?
Inflection. He says I'm right.
Oh, really? I don't put a headset on him. I don't hear him saying that. I think I get credit for being as close as I was.
I mean, you're all over the planet.
We asked Tom Brady to pronounce it. He goes, "Who man?" That's what we call it.
This is Bolden. Bolden. Inside the 10. Inside the 5.
And right now, this Buffalo defense is doing more standing around than anything else.
Bolden up to
There.
120 yards rushing on the day.
Yeah, they are getting pushed around. They are getting, look at the size of those holes, missing tackles. It's gut check time for the guys in blue. And I'm talking about the blue jerseys, not the blue pants.
Brady throwing. Almost intercepted in the end zone by Gilmore.
Ooh, he had his hands on it. Oh, wouldn't it have been sweet if your first NFL interception could have been from Tom Brady. And you're not going to get many chances. Well, I got to say, that was harder than it initially looked. That would have been a sensational catch. He had to really elevate. He came close.
Ridley to the end zone for the touchdown. And we have a penalty marker down.
Well, the Buffalo defense is running to the sidelines.
Here's John Perry.
At the snap, 12 men. Defense. Penalties decline. Result of the play, touchdown.
12 men on the field. Still couldn't stop the running play.
They just pretty nonchalant. You've got to sprint to get off that field. Didn't make any difference. New England scored anyway. And that was a demoralizing drive. If you're a fan of the Buffalo Bills, and Dave Wannstedt can't be happy with the way his defense didn't make much of a stand there.
Brandon Bolden, 122 yards rushing. Ridley, 104 on the ground. Two 100-yard rushers on the afternoon. And the New England Patriots, slowly but surely taking care of business, now jump to a 35-21 lead.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by FedEx. FedEx does more than shipping. FedEx, solutions that matter. TD Ameritrade. And by State Farm. Get to a better state with a discount double check.
Back at a very quiet Ralph Wilson Stadium now as the Patriots have grabbed a 35-21 lead with 11:42 to play here in the fourth quarter. McKelvin and Brad Smith deep. And Gostkowski going to boom this one, and this one will not be returned as it sails out of the end zone. For the first time since 1982, New England with two 100-yard rushers.
That was a long time ago. Remember, we talked about in the first quarter, Tom Brady telling us, Greg, remember? He said, we are a different offensive team. Last year, we just played so much from the spread. Threw it. We are going to run the football. Well, when you run it for 150, you've had a really good day. When you run it for 200, you've entered, you're up in the penthouse.
Well, how about you add
now,
to that? How about you add to that a 100-yard receiver in Wes Welker and another 100-yard receiver in Rob Gronkowski?
Well, they got 513 yards of total offense, and there's nearly 12 minutes left in this game.
Fitzpatrick.
Oh! That's Vince Wilfork. Vince dropped into coverage, and he just pile drives Donald Jones.
You know who's going to like that? Bianca Wilfork. Vince's wife sits in the stands, and Vince says she will text me dozens and dozens and dozens of times during the game. And we said, does she know the game? He goes, oh yeah. And a whistle. And a flag.
Yeah,
And a false start.
Number 79, offense, 5-yard penalty, second down.
Greg, when I saw Vince make that contact, I assumed he had to drop off the ball a yard or so. There is Bianca Wilfork, and she's texting.
Yep.
Vince says she works it.
Nice job, baby.
She even sent one to Mayo. She sent them to everybody.
Yes. She's another coach.
It's a good thing she doesn't have our numbers.
Hey, double three.
2nd and 15. Fitzpatrick throws, and that's in and out of the hands of Stevie Johnson. Here's that hit once again that Vince Wilfork delivered. And then over in the seats, this is Bianca Wilfork. Little high five. Little celebration.
Yeah, I don't. Meanwhile, the family of Donald Jones has their head in their hands and just glad that he survived it.
Well,
oh, he is. Well, look at that. He's on his way in. That's not funny. What a hit he took from Wilfork. Of course, you don't sign up to get hit by a guy who weighs 350 pounds when you're a wide receiver.
Fitzpatrick on the move, gonna launch it deep down the middle, intercepted. Picked off by Devin McCourty. McCourty on his way back. 20. Down the sideline. And out of bounds inside the 15.
Well, Fitzpatrick is probably in a position where he thinks like he's got to take a chance. But again, that's an underthrown pass that McCourty is able to intercept. He's able to react into the ball, and Stevie Johnson didn't react to it. I mean, they were both stride for stride, and Devin McCourty was the one able to stop himself, cut underneath Johnson, and intercept the pass.
That might be an ultimate no-no for a quarterback, though. Dan, roll left and try to throw back to your right.
Oh, is that Brandon Spikes? Spikes at the end of that elevates and hits Chandler right in the head.
55 to Mike.
This is Brandon Bolden. Bolden inside the 10 to the 7.
Well, Brandon Bolden right about now has got to be thinking, you know, this NFL, this is okay.
This is a good deal.
Yeah, this isn't so bad.
It's not as hard as I've heard.
I'm really surprised. I did not think that New England could run the football this effectively against this front seven of Buffalo's. This isn't the performance by that group up front that we expected to see. I'm talking about Buffalo's front.
2nd and 5. This is Bolden again, left side. Oh, and just bowls his way to the end zone for the touchdown. He ran right over Stephon Gilmore.
And this is a completely demoralized Buffalo defense right now.
And that brings the crowd rising to its feet and heading for the exits.
Well, they have seen this before, but talk about finishing. I mean, Gilmore just doesn't get low enough, and he gets taken for a ride. But man, that is the way to finish a run, Brandon Bolden.
Bolden, 134 yards and 2 touchdowns today.
Well, amazingly, there is still a lot of time left in this football game. But we've seen nothing in the last 10, 20 minutes of football that leads us to believe that Buffalo's going to make a comeback. 5
New England touchdowns in their last 5 drives, 42-21. 10:29 to play here in the fourth quarter, and New England has doubled up on Buffalo 42-21. An impressive performance by the New England Patriots, who are on the verge of snapping a 2-game losing streak.
How about Brandon Bolden, an undrafted free agent? Nice little pickup there, huh?
this is only the second time in NFL history that a team has recorded 2 100-yard rushers and 2 100-yard receivers in the same game. Green Bay did it back in the 2008 season. And that's about as rare as it gets.
Well, it is not every day that when you're looking at the stats about about their offensive day, that you see where they actually have run the ball more than they have thrown it. And right now they've got 35 runs and 33 passes.
You mentioned it earlier, Dan. Tom Brady told us last night we threw to 3 guys last year, Gronk, Hernandez, and Wes Welker. This year with Josh McDaniels, more balance, more running. And we get a timeout, Buffalo. While we have a break here, let's go right back to JB and Shannon Sharp.
Shannon, first time I've said this all season. Ham.
Yes, on the jailbreak screen. 2K Aloha Polaris. 36-yard touchdown catch, JB. 28-24. Panthers on top.
Cam, 15 to 23, 215 yards and 2 touchdowns. 7 rushes for 75 yards and a rushing TD. Greg and Dan.
All right, guys, thank you. So on first down, Fitzpatrick. That's complete, out across the 25, through about the 28 or so yard line or so, TJ Graham.
We had an injury, which is why John Perry stopped it. You could see that young man going after that football, trying to retrieve the kickoff, took a nasty spill. I hope he's all right.
On 2nd and 1, that pass is complete to Stevie Johnson for a first down. Here in the second half, that is Buffalo's 5th first down. New England has had 20 here in the second half. "20 first downs, Dan, in a quarter and a half of football."
That's almost unheard of.
So Fitzpatrick out here in the flat to Spiller, and Spiller out of bounds across the 35.
Mark Wolf, our producer, and Bob Fishman, our director, are telling us to pass along that they saw that young man. He did get up, and he appears to be okay. Hopefully nothing
Good.
too drastically wrong. That was pretty tough. Oh, there he is. All right. Sometimes you got to walk it off.
Might not know where he is, but he's looking good. Fitzpatrick. And overthrew Stevie Johnson on the near sideline.
Well, he had him. Johnson was open. He'd gotten a little separation, and that could have been a completion with a better throw.
A couple of things about this game, Dan. Logan Mankins missing. You said it was going to be time for Donald Thomas and the rest of the offensive line to step up. Either they have, or the front four of the Buffalo Bills have not lived up to previous billing.
Well, I think I'm more inclined to give a lot of credit to the offensive line of New England, and that's Donald Thomas that we're looking at right there, who replaced Mankins. I think it was just a brilliant game plan and really aggressive line play. And, Gronk did a good job blocking in there as well. Daniel Fells, the other tight end.
While we have a stoppage of play. Next Sunday, the NFL on CBS takes you to a doubleheader. Dan and I will be in New York, where the Cleveland Browns will battle the Super Bowl champion New York Giants, while the Ravens challenge the Chiefs, and then Peyton Manning and the Denver Broncos against Tom Brady and these New England Patriots. Check your local listings. It all begins with JB, Dan, Coach Shannon, and Boomer on the NFL Today, presented by Southwest Airlines.
Yeah, if Buffalo doesn't have enough to do trying to shake off what's happened to their defense here today, they have to travel all the way to the West Coast to play the 49ers next week. And then the following week, they play Arizona in Arizona. So after that game, they're going to fly down to Phoenix, and they're going to spend a week and train at Arizona State University. Spend a week out in the Valley of the Sun.
Fitzpatrick on 3rd and 8. Under pressure. Throws. Oh, caught at midfield by Doran Dickerson for the first down. That's a pretty good throw under pressure by Mr. Fitzpatrick.
Yeah, he's covered pretty well by Steve Gregory. Steve Gregory here is, see him coming. Boy, he almost gets a fingertip on the ball. I think Dickerson could have gotten up and started running again. I don't think he was touched.
Fitzpatrick. The throw, sideline, in and out of the hands of T.J. Graham, incomplete.
T.J. Graham started off this game pretty well. He had a couple receptions, and there he is all by himself. There is no reason for that not to be a completion. The rookie just dropped it.
They have high hopes for him, but not there just yet.
Well, he's really got outstanding speed.
2nd and 10. On the draw, Fitzpatrick tripped up, goes down at the 45.
Ryan Fitzpatrick, Gerard Mayo, listen to this hit. Mayo puts on the kid from Harvard. Now, I'm very happy that Ryan Fitzpatrick appears to be okay and is back in the huddle, but you're not going to take too many of those and not find yourself in the training.
It's one of those things where the run sounded good early. This is Spiller, and Spiller has a first down inside the New England 40 to about the 38, maybe the 37-yard line.
I applaud his competitiveness, but there's a reason why they put in that rule about the hook slide. The quarterbacks don't survive very long taking shots like that.
Time. Wide open. Got his man and incomplete. Stevie Johnson was out of bounds.
Well, that's because the throw was out of bounds. Stevie, a blown New England coverage, and Stevie Johnson is all alone over here on the sideline. But Ryan Fitzpatrick delivers a football that you could not have stayed in bounds and caught. I can't imagine how frustrating that has to be to Fitzpatrick, that he had a guy that wide open and overthrew him. That should have been an easy touchdown.
Instead, it's 2nd and 10. Fitzpatrick on the run again, and there's the slide. Fool me once, shame on you.
Well, Ryan is a very good athlete, and he's got great escapability, and he's a tough catch for a defensive lineman. But he's got to play smart. You want to be able to make the trip to San Francisco.
3rd and 8. Fitzpatrick going to throw at the seam, and he's got his man inside the 5. Touchdown, Brad Smith.
Well, New England can revel in the way they've run the football today, but they have to be disappointed with the way that they've been gashed down the middle of the field repeatedly by Buffalo, and it's been a chronic problem. And given the situation that you're protecting a sizable lead, you want everything to happen in front of you. You can't just be split down the middle like that.
And that wasn't particularly tricky.
No. It's nothing fancy about that.
The extra point is good. 6.5 minutes to play here in regulation. Bills put a touchdown on the board. They trail 42-28.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by NFL Mobile from Verizon. Built to bring you the game. and by Subway restaurants. Try the new Tuscan Chicken Melt today.
Back at Ralph Wilson Stadium, 6.5 minutes to play. The New England Patriots, fully expecting an onside kick here, have 10 players up between the 45 and 50-yard line. Wes Welker is the only man deep, and he's only back to the 20.
Not a lineman among them.
And there it is. And it is grabbed by Gronkowski. So the Patriots will get good field position and possession of the football, and we'll remind you the Subway postgame show coming up. JB, Dan, Shannon Boomer, and Coach Bill Cowher will have all the latest NFL scores and highlights coming up on the Subway postgame show. The Buffalo Bills got a chance to put a pretty good hold on the AFC East, particularly over these New England Patriots. Coming into this game, and at one point led 21-7 before the Patriots came charging back, and they're still at it. Brady throwing incomplete. Daniel Fells just off his fingertips.
Well, Arthur Moats, the linebacker, he demands that Tom Brady put the ball way out there because he was right there. He was right with Fells, so give Moats some credit. He forced Tom Brady into trying to make an absolutely pinpoint throw.
55 to Mike.
Second and 10. This is Ridley. Ridley and Bolden have had terrific days running the football today. Ridley has 106 on the ground. Bolden 132. Make it 107 for Ridley.
Well, while you're talking about notable rushers, don't forget the rusher with 4 yards. Tom Brady, he had one run for a 4-yard touchdown.
3rd and 9. Brady with time over the middle. Oh, what a grab. Close to the 30-yard line made by Wes Welker. What a pair of hands.
Again, nobody from Buffalo able to get close to Tom Brady. And even protecting the lead, the Patriots at times throw 2 out of the 3 times on those 3 downs and pick up the first down. And those of you early in the year were wondering what role Wes Welker was going to play on this Patriots team, just whether or not it was being diminished. I think that topic is put to bed for a while.
9 catching, 129 yards today for Welker. This is Bolden. And Bolden wrapped up inside the 25 at about the 23.
Boy, this offensive line for New England, you just can't hardly praise them enough. They have just dominated this game. They have put on a clinic as to how to run the football and how to pass protect your quarterback.
35 carries between both Ridley and Bolden. And Wes Welker and Rob Gronkowski have gone over 100 yards receiving. 250 yards rushing as a team for the Patriots. 2nd and 3.
Hey, Jaguar, over. Alpha, we go.
This is Bolden, and Bolden won't make it. Mario Williams, where has he been today?
Well, he's been right along with the other Buffalo defensive linemen. Just, Kyle Williams had a play or two, and occasionally we've seen a little flash of life over there. But the reality is that this just wasn't their day against this New England offensive line.
Buffalo has used their 3rd and final timeout here in the second half. It's been a heck of a second half for New England.
Well, no kidding. They've just gone up and down the field. Danny Woodhead got it started on a Tom Brady scramble. He made himself available, got into the end zone, and here's that magnificent 4-yard run by Tom Brady. Then the Gronk from Williamsville comes back, left completely alone. Then Ridley, again behind, just great power blocking. And then it's Bolden. He finishes off with another power run. all the talk about New England, the word you hear a lot is finesse. There's been a lot of old-fashioned, in-your-face power football today.
Brady on 3rd and 5, going to loft it down the sideline, has a man diving. Touchdown, Brandon Lloyd. And we have a penalty marker.
Holding. Defense. Number 26. Penalties declined. Result of the play. Touchdown.
The penalty is against Justin Rogers of the Bills. More points on the board for New England.
That was just a thing of beauty. I'm not sure Mel Blount, Roger Worley, you start naming off Hall of Fame cornerbacks, I'm not sure anybody could defend that. Look at that. That's just a perfect route and throw and catch. And once again, the New England Patriots add another game to the long list of when they had to win a game, they did.
Their last 6 drives, they've produced a touchdown on each drive.
A great look at it from the blimp. It took a heck of an effort by Lloyd to lay out and get that ball. But you know what? On a scale of 10, that was a 10, a throw from Tom Brady. Just absolute poetry to watch it.
I want to remind you once again, coming up, the Subway post-game show, JB, Dan, Shannon, Boomer, and Coach Bill Cowher will have all the latest NFL scores and highlights coming up on the Subway post-game show. You know, as these fans file out of the stadium, they had such high hopes at the beginning of this day.
And they had high hopes as this day progressed when they were up 21-7. I mean, they had old Mojo was in their corner, and man, it's like the Patriots just at that point in time put the hand down and said, enough is enough.
You know, a year ago, these Bills snapped a 15-game losing streak to New England back in Week 3. New England had a 21-point lead. They ended up losing the game to Buffalo 34-31.
Cute sign there, that girl holding that. Tom Brady, could I have your autograph? Young lady, I just can only tell you, you have no idea how long that line is. It's
49-28, New England. And they will not run this one out of the end zone. Brad Smith will take the ball and take a knee, and the game will come out now to the 20-yard line. You come away from this, Dan, thinking the New England Patriots, very impressive.
very impressive. And it's and again, you know, they're 2-2, but I don't know that just looking at 2-2 tells the story. That the Ravens beat them by 1 point last Sunday night on a field goal that was just good by a hair.
And Arizona only beat them by 2.
That's exactly right. They're a couple plays from being 4-0. This was a statement game today. This was most impressive.
Fitzpatrick going to throw this one. It's intercepted at the 40-yard line. Picked off by Tavon Wilson.
Well, the rookie, he gets his second pick of the year. He's already got 2 interceptions in 4 games. He's starting to think that this isn't such a bad deal. He and Brandon Bolden should sit next to each other on the airplane on the way back. Go,
this is kind of easy.
It's NFL. It's not that big a deal.
That is the 6th turnover of the day by the Buffalo Bills, the 4th interception thrown by Ryan Fitzpatrick.
Now we can speculate as to whether Fitzpatrick read the defense wrong or it was a blown route by a receiver, but that was, you could have fair caught that interception.
First down now at the 19-yard line. Ridley dragged down behind the line of scrimmage by Alex Carrington.
There's Vince, and there's Mrs. Vince. Bianca with the 75.
She of these numerous text messages.
And she's not texting.
No.
I think she's just... Well, her husband. Well, she's got the phone in her hand. She's got the phone in her hand, and again, she's the mad texter. Vince says she goes in. He goes in at halftime after the game. 30, 40 texts from his wife, telling him that he didn't play that two technique properly, or he didn't get enough penetration on that pass rush.
Ridley left side. We asked Bell, the ball was bounced out of bounds. We asked him, well, does she know the game? And he said, inside and out.
Yeah, he said, I have no place to hide. And you know what? When he tells the story, he's telling it laughing. He obviously thoroughly enjoys it. And she goes, by the way, she goes to every game, home and away.
Yep.
Every game.
I thought the best part of what Vince was talking about was when there's a cookout. Vince just takes care of barbecuing the chicken. Bianca takes care of everything else.
He said, I'm a meat man. That's all. That's my deal.
Brady, quick pass, far side. Brandon Lloyd. Lloyd crawling forward to the 10. But he's going to be marked down at about the 13.
Before we start acting like this is nothing but ice cream and cookies, Bill Belichick isn't going to be happy. Buffalo has put 415 yards on his Patriots defense, and a lot of them with passes right down the middle of the field. And he knows darn well that he's going to lose some football games if they don't tighten things up in the secondary. You can't count on Tom Brady and the offense scoring 50 points every week.
Oh, that's a dream for a coach to come away with a win and still have something to put your team through, right?
You got it.
2 minutes to play here in Buffalo. That's the kind of day it has been offensively for these New England Patriots, and they have been a nightmare for the Buffalo defense. 580 total yards.
Every one of those numbers is most impressive.
Steven Gostkowski from 30 yards out has not had his best day kicking the football, but they haven't needed it today. And he extends the New England lead now to 52-28. And there is Robert Kraft, his son Jonathan. If you missed it earlier, Bob Kraft, the recipient of the Hallis Award here in Buffalo, 43rd awarding of that honor.
Well, they've got a big home game coming up next week against the Denver Broncos. And then, as we all know, going to Seattle and winning is not easy. And then they have the Jets, and then they play that game October 28th where it says at St. Louis. That is actually in London. St. Louis is the home team, but the Patriots and the Rams will be making the trip across the Atlantic to Wembley.
And we've had 38 points scored here in the fourth quarter. 31 by New England. Once again, McKelvin and Brad Smith are deep. And once again, they will not return this. Gostkowski has been teeing off on kickoffs. So we'll start at the 20-yard line with 1:56 to play.
Well, even though, Greg, that New England really put it to Buffalo, they both have identical records at 2-2 now. But this was a divisional game, and it was just a missed opportunity by Buffalo. They had a chance to do something really big. And knocking the Patriots to 1-3 while you put yourself at 3-1, those kind of opportunities haven't been at the front door of the Buffalo Bills very often in the last 10 or so years.
Tashard Choice is in the backfield and he gets the handoff. You know, this game may come up in conversation later in the season when it comes time for Buffalo to pay a visit to New England.
Well, you got to be careful. I might want my defense to forget it. I don't know what do you do as a coach? Do you show it to them and remind them how bad they were, or do you maybe pretend it never happened?
Well, as Chan Gailey says, you know, like they'll know it. They probably know anyway.
No, they won't. They're professionals. They won't forget it.
No one likes to be embarrassed. Choice again. Choice with some running room, gets a first down and run out of bounds at about the 35-yard line.
I just think in the past, the times I've watched the Patriots play and covered them where, it wasn't unusual to see them throw the football 10, 12, 14 times in a row. And, they just killed you with Tom Brady throwing it time after time after time. And, now with this confidence in having a running game, how much more lethal is that going to be when Tom Brady can add like play action and everything else to what's already a potent passing line?
Screen for Choice on the right side. He's down. Saw Vince Wilfork there. He's going to sit the rest of this game out. How about Vince telling us about his garden?
1 yard gain. Vince is a gardener. He goes, I'll tell you, it's infectious when you're around Vince Wilfork you just like him. He's funny. He loves the game. He's a tremendous competitor. That guy, he will chew your leg off to win a game. But boy, is he fun. He says, hey, I go home. I go right to the garden. I love to barbecue. He's a great family man and a great leader on this team.
This is Johnny White on the carry, second year back out of North Carolina. And we're the final 20 seconds.
If you think Big Vince is a good athlete, we saw him get the good tackle in. And, he had 2 interceptions last year for a defensive tackle. Are you kidding me?
Short ride back to New England, but a nice one for the New England Patriots. They knock off the Buffalo Bills. Our final score, 52-28. Up next, the Subway postgame show for Dan Deerdorf. For all of us here at CBS, Greg Gumbel. So long from Buffalo. You've been watching the NFL on CBS.